Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's another GMCCI advocacy podcast, Meet the Candidates. My name is Tony Tone, Loconsole with Muscatine Power and Water, MPW, and this conversation that we're about to have with Mr. Matt Miller will air on MPW TV channels 5, 9, YouTube, social media, all of the places. So without further ado, Matt Miller is here. He is running for Muscatine Community School District Board of Education. Matt, if you could, we'd love to get an introduction of yourself, background, connection to the school district, and then ultimately what motivated you to want to run. So thanks for being here.
Sure. Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks, Tony, for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate you putting this together and just getting us a way to get some things out there. Sure, Matt Miller, 47 years almost this coming Monday.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Happy early birthday.
Right.
It's outstanding.
Right, yeah. But love this community. It's one that I've enjoyed growing up in. It's one that I think has a lot to offer.
Sure.
I think we have a lot of just businesses and just the growth in Muscatine, what it is, what the history is behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just a neat community to get into if you want to ever get into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm just big into there. But a Miller from this town, I don't know, you know a couple, I'm sure.
I know several Millers.
Yeah.
Great people, big family.
Well, definitely a big family. No, they're great people. They are. But you probably, if you've heard of them, you know one. So I'm definitely part of that. But really, without going too much about myself, most people either know me or I'm pretty easy to come get a hold of, and we can have conversation however it needs to, to have that. I think that's the best way to learn about each other. So what am I running for? Kind of why am I getting into the school board? I a couple years ago tried to run, and there were some things that I was kind of against and seeing. I mean, I think they were more personal, frustrating to me.
Okay.
Maybe when I ran that time. So I'm looking at this time as I just think there's some time for some change, time to see some growth in different ways. Definitely not knocking the school board we have today in any way. I think that they've done some good things, and I think there's some good stones down there that we can really just take and progress forward with.
Okay.
So I think that's really where I want to get to.
Good. Yeah. Well, we've got 10 questions. As I mentioned, when Lindsay was here, candidates received the questions ahead of time. We're going to go through these, and the goal is to inform you, the public, and we just encourage you to take all the information in and just vote on November 4th. Go to the polls. It's your right. I always say, I don't care who you vote for, just vote. Please. I love voting. It's like one of my favorite things to do. I really look forward to it. All right. So
they don't have to wait till November 4th. They can now, right?
They can. I am old school. I'm an in-person, but yes, you are right, Matt. Absolutely. They could vote right now. Yes, 100%. I should definitely
started the 15th.
Mention that. You got that down. See?
Well, yeah, I want them to get out. Don't have an excuse. He had to wait till the 4th. There's plenty of time.
Sure. I respect that. My mom does vote early. I just like going day of. But yes, to Matt's point, you are absolutely correct. So our first question for you, sir, what do you see as the most critical challenge facing Muscatine schools? And then how would you work to address it?
Sure. I think this could be very broad, right? So I'll break it down in just a few key things and save us some time and save listening to me talk, because that'd be much better things to do. We have to look at the culture right now, I think, of where schools are, where we're sitting as a school district. And I think the values and what are our values? What are we trying to stand behind in the school district right now? Where are the key areas that we probably need to be making leaps and bounds in, and somewhere we focus in that maybe doesn't take quite as much attention as it should.
Sure.
Right? But I do think that's culture kind of adjustment. Yeah. And I think that's probably a place we need to start. I definitely think that's where the school board needs to step in and define how we come up with that culture. I think there's a mental health struggle in the schools, and it's at all levels. I feel like I don't feel this is just a high school or junior high. I always want to say middle school because we had a middle school. Now it's a junior high, but even in our elementary schools, and really helping and putting some focus in there. I think we have some good staff in that area. But I think we need to appreciate maybe some of those a little differently and understand, do we have the right staff in that area or where we need to go there? And then without getting like too deep in the weeds or anything, I do think our budget, we just need to pay some attention to it. I think there's some things in the budget that are going, and I understand that it's not like all this free money we can go right and just grab and pull however we want.
Sure.
I get there's grants and certain things have to be used for certain stuff. So I want to make that clear. Like that's understandable. But I do think there's some ways we can be looking at where we're spending money, and do we need to put some more focus in different areas right now? So I would definitely go in and say the budget's going to be a place of focus as well.
It's good. Our second question, these are good answers. How will you ensure, Matt, all students, regardless of background, have access to a quality education?
Yeah, I think this is part of what I said earlier when we talked. I said something about the stepping stones that the school board's already kind of put in place there. We have the work-based apprenticeship program that's out there.
Yep.
My son, he's a senior this year. He gets to partake in that, and I think that's awesome.
It's great.
It is. I think, not every kid is college bound. And we have trades out there that we need them in. We have, again, back to Muscatine and the community of what it is. I said it the other day, and I've said it before. It's really this blue collar town with white collar money, right? So we have some things we can do to make some difference in this town.
Sure.
And we have the blue collar way to get some of these programs up and going next level.
Yeah.
So I think there's that you take and you really grow that and take the foundation they put there, and let's just build on top of it. I think we have an egg program that truly is, I'm not the only thing, so let's be honest, we have an amazing egg program.
I agree with you 100%.
That's something we've done well, and we should be benchmarking. We should be going and pulling some things of what we do so whether to succeed, and what other programs can we take to that level, and how do we get it there? So again, I think there's great things sitting there. We just need to go in and come at it from a different angle now, and let's grow that, other programs like we did the egg program, and be leaders of that as well.
Yeah.
Those are probably some key areas, but I do think that, we have to bring parents all into this. So there becomes that kind of the situation of how do we get everything out to them? Do they know everything available to the kids? Do they know how to use the things that are available to the kids and our accessibility? Because if they don't, then we're not helping that at all. We can have the best things in place, but if the tools aren't easy accessible, then we probably aren't doing our best there. So
I agree with you. How does it feel to have a senior in high school, by the way? Not to get off topic,
No,
but what's that feel like? Because I have my oldest is in 8th grade, and I can't believe he'll be in high school. You're at the other end of that.
Well,
what's that like?
You're right. At the other end, but I still have a 1 in 7.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm still at that end too, farther. Yeah. I don't know. I think the senior thing it's so much different than when I was a senior.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I think some of the things they do, I question. I'm also glad to see that they still do some of the things we did, senior marches and stuff like that and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I think it's good to see the growth and see it at different times and different kind of rules and changes that went on just in this time period that we think of when he's been in school.
Sure.
Because he's the oldest one that's active in school.
Yeah.
And we have a sophomore and a freshman and then the seventh grader. But there's been a lot of things that happen. So it's affected a lot of this stuff, I think, that we're sitting in now.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up work-based learning. It's not a question on our list, but I would just be remiss if I didn't mention, and I'm glad the way you said it, that I would hope that families with students at the high school or going into the high school are aware of those opportunities, to your point, because not every student has to go on this same path or journey, or however you want to say it. And that is just one of those things. And again, selfishly, as a parent myself with a soon-to-be freshman, I think about that like, wow, Henry's going to have a lot of opportunities to figure out what he would like to do and be set up for success. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah. I think the other neat thing on it, and I don't want to derail any of this.
Sure.
But, they do a signing day for them, which they hadn't done before.
Yeah.
So these kids go and they can get up to 2,000 hours. Once they've worked 2,000 hours, they get a certificate. Wow. But once they start this work-based program, they go in and they sit down with whatever that company is. And I don't think, it's public news because it's like it's on Facebook, right?
Sure.
So it's like, so they sit down with their people at Hoffman and they sign this paperwork and the kid sits there and it's kind of like a kid signing for college.
Yeah.
They know they're not doing college at this point, but they know they're getting into a trade and they're learning something that's going to be valuable, not only to themselves, but to the community and to other things. Across the nation, when you think of the work that Hoffman puts into things.
Yeah.
So these kids are just seeing things from a different level that is very, very great to see.
I agree. Our third question for Mr. Miller is, what is your approach to supporting teachers and staff in the district? You touched on it a little bit. Let's go a little bit deeper because it is, people may not realize the district is a large employer, almost like 800 employees or something like that. So how would you approach supporting the staff for Muscatine?
Yeah, I think staff, first off, they need to be comfortable with having a voice. And I think that's with any place. I worked at H&I for 22 years. If you're not comfortable speaking up and trying to grow for the right reason, I don't think I'm one who don't come just whining and to whine, right? Like figure something out. But it's also, that was corporate America. This is different, but it's still a business that's going, and we have to give them that right to really talk and speak to us. We also have to give them control of their classrooms to a point. They do need to be able to have control and not feel disrupted all the time. Not feel like if they have to go escalate something, what that process is, and do they feel like they're getting the right feedback? Not saying that they're going to agree with everything, but is that feedback there? So I think that's important for that communication to open. Again, I think that's where it's that culture. We have to change the culture to where it feels comfortable to have that conversation and talk so we can get to the root cause of whatever's happening at those points. And that's for our students, that's for our staff, that's for across the board. By no means am I saying this is like, oh, we need to open up counseling and all this. That's not at all what this is.
Sure.
We just need to understand better how to adapt to each other and where we're at in that and walk through that. I do think we spend a lot of time focusing on, I'd say people say 5%, but it's probably more 2 to 3% of our student population.
Sure.
That can be disruptive, can be, kind of just give bad raps. I think that's an area where I sat, a few years ago. But I think that's an area that we need to put a lot of focus into. But I don't know that it has to be negative focus. Like we have the school over there off of Hauser, that's working for kind of some behavioral type.
Yeah, MCAP, I think.
MCAP.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so that's, it's open. It's open. I don't remember how many kids, 40, 50 something, but there's some kids over there, maybe 30. But anyway, we could use looking into that a little more. I think every kid, what I've learned, and this was hard for me because I'm like, you learn by book and that's what it is. And over the last so many years, I hear, well, you have to let that kid stand up and they just learn better when they stand there and they can listen instead of having to sit in a chair and fidget. And I'm like, really, is this right? But it is. And I think those are things that that culture, that adaptation, right, has to happen there. So I think once we do that and we get IEPs and 504s and all those things moving forward and get them out to the parents and stuff, our staff starts utilizing tools that are available to them. Parents are utilizing the tools, and that helps the staff along.
Yeah.
So, those would be some big things. I do think there's also, I guess I'd call them more like academic performance indicators.
Okay.
Right? We don't need to micromanage teachers. They're there to do their job, and that job is to just truly raise productive members of society through education, right? And I think that's what it needs to be. But we do need to have some indicators in place for our schools, and are we hitting them ahead of time before 4 years comes out and we know how it was or something. We need to have these kind of quarterly or whatever and just know like, hey, we hit good here, or we need to be bringing some focus in.
Yeah.
When we find out 4 years later, or we know and we just don't bring anything up, that's disturbing to me, and that's not how we should run it.
Sure.
800 some employees, you said?
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't know.
It's a lot of people.
It's a tough way to run a business if we're waiting longer than we need to.
Sure.
So I think that's somewhere else to help with staff. Just we probably have the right people on the bus, and I've said this, and we say this a lot, even where I'm employed. But are they in the right seat? Do we need to be moving people into certain areas and looking at stuff like that?
Yeah. That's definitely a good way to look at it. Our next question, Matt, is how would you promote transparency and community engagement when it comes to those school board decisions?
Yeah. Yep. So I think, again, and I'll probably echo this a lot, but I think parent involvement. I don't think all this falls on to the school district. I think parents need to be involved if they want to be. I think there's apps out there I know there's apps out there, right? There's and I'll say them backwards because I do every time, but Parent Square and Power School.
You got it right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So those are out there, and those let me know if my kid's missing a class, right? Those let me know if there's maybe I can get on and I can look. I think there's assignments due. I can see if it is. We don't need to micromanage our kids either. They need to advocate for themselves, especially in the world we're in and that we've gotten into over these last, I guess we'll call them the COVID stage maybe since, right? But we need to let those kids advocate. But at the same point, we need to make sure we as parents are using tools to help them and grow them so they can advocate and know that communication's there and open and help with that communication, because there'll be some tough conversations our kids should be having that they don't. So I think that's one. I think, a couple years ago, the parent advisory meetings were a discussion.
Sure.
They happened once, and then it'd be like, oh shoot, we actually booked another event for this, so we didn't have, and I think those are good. But I think they have to hit on every level of education again. I go back to elementary. I go to junior high and high school. We have to give access to know what's going on in our schools. Parents need to know that's available, and then they need to take that there too. It's not fair to waste time if the same 3 parents show up of a community that we have, and be able to hear what's going on. I don't think these are long meetings. I think they're just touch points to know where people are sitting and what's going on. But let's hold it a little more diligently. I think also the other thing is just community leaders. I think we. Working with community leaders will get us involved, so we're all driving to grow Muscatine as a whole. Retention is key. I heard some numbers earlier, and I'm not even going to try and figure them out because, again, I've said it before, I'm not your numbers guy.
Me neither.
So it's not going to be.
We have that in common.
I'm a salesman, and it seems to work well because I have somebody who likes numbers.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But, there's the side of, I guess, just how do we get the housing? How do we get people to come stay in this community? And that's how, when schools are working with other divisions within our community and other leadership, we all start driving down that same funnel. And I think we start seeing that happen. And Muscatine starts becoming that community where we're retaining, and our sports grow. Everything's growing. People are coming. They're not driving so many hours away, to go spend money somewhere else. We have housing. We have everything. So that'll be a big push too, I think, which just kind of incorporates all of that.
It's kind of like a big puzzle, and schools are part of it. Mayor Bark echoed this when we chatted with him. And you're right. I think everybody working together, we can truly make a difference. Folks, there's like 9,000 people that drive to Muscatine for a job that don't live here. And we can't sustain that. And that's maybe just my opinion, me saying that, but that 9,000 number is true. So we've got to figure out how can we make this community as a whole attractive to try and get some of those folks to stay, because I've been here 13 years. Matt's been here a few years longer than me. I have no intention of leaving. Deep roots for myself and my family. And I like what you said. I just want to remind folks, if you're tuning in, this is the GMCCI Advocacy Podcast, Meet the Candidates. That's Matt Miller, running for school board, Tony Tone Loconsole with MPW. Question 5 for you, Mr. Miller. What role should the school board play in shaping curriculum and educational priorities?
Sure. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time here. I think that all these questions are kind of hitting to this one when I went through it, and to save us time and give you some other time for questions. But I do think that, it's obviously it's our key role, right? That is what we have to be key in education, and what curriculum's out there. What do we teach and what's going on? I've seen it, and I don't think it's right. I don't think doesn't matter what party I'm with. It doesn't matter any agenda type stuff that I have or not. We need to be there driving for the right curriculum for what our school's values are and what that culture is. Again, I challenge us back to that culture and value and say, are we in the right place that we should be right now with where we're sitting in cultures and values? And do we need to look at that and adjust some of that? curriculum. But I also think that we have to remember we have kids, and I don't like to tag them this way, but I'm just going to say the COVID kids. They were when COVID happened, and they were from 3rd to 5th grade, so 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And the lack of just social networking that they got because they weren't going to school and they didn't have that time in school, it kind of just put them a little delayed in some kind of that socializing that we need them to be in. So we also need to know that each kid's going to learn at a different rate, and they're going to learn in different ways. So we need to adapt that curriculum to it. I'm not saying we need to soften it. I'm not saying that we need to, well, I can do better at this. No, there's lines that are there. But at the same point, we need to know that learning is different. And that changed a few years ago.
Yeah, it's a good response. Our next question, number 6, how do you plan to collaborate with your fellow board members, if elected, administrators, and families? Again, you've touched on this, but when you think of yourself, should the folks watching and the larger public vote you, Matt Miller, in November 4th, how would you go about that collaborative piece with board members, administrators, and families?
Yeah, so I do think there's times where I say I can do more from the other side of the table.
Sure.
Right? Especially if you're voted onto the school board. Yeah, your hands are tied, your lips are tied a little bit, right? There's certain things you can say, certain things you can't say. I understand it. It frustrates me every time that I would go to a school board meeting. It still frustrates me because I just want to have open dialogue with you. But I think that everybody needs to know what's going on. We need to have just clear and concise expectations out there, and then everybody can understand where their situation is. I think as we work with leadership, we work with other community leaders, everybody's drawn to that same funnel again. It makes it easy for us to go through those situations. Not everybody's going to like the outcomes, but we're all going to be able to funnel through that. And then I think just making myself available. I want to go walk into schools. I want to go see what's going on. Let's go see what happens during a musky hour or a free time, or let's go see what the auditorium's going on, when there's something happening in it. Like, make ourselves available. It doesn't mean we have to have meetings. It just means let's hear what you have to say. I'm not going to be able to solve it for you today, but let's have the conversation at least.
Yeah. Yeah. If you get elected and you find yourself at preschool, shout out to Miss Casey. That's my wife, 3-year-old preschool teacher. As a not small person, the kids are like, I always felt like a giant when I would visit preschool. Question number 7, what is your vision, Matt, for improving school facilities and learning environments?
Yeah. I think we have some amazing spots in our schools that we could utilize. I think right now, just from what I see when I'm in there, we have hangout spots in some of the schools. So are they good for those to catch up on homework, doing assignments, some of that? For sure. Are they great for nap time? Not quite sure why we would have nap time in it, but it's there, right? So I think there's some areas there that we could benefit some of our clubs with, that are looking for areas, but we kind of have these huge lounge areas in some of the schools. So I think that's somewhere we look at some of the things, facilities. I would go back again. This is the right people in the right seat. Facilities safety is a big thing in schools right now. And I think safety is very important to our staff. I don't think they're downplaying it. I think we have a safety team in place in areas that are there. I think maybe do we have the right safety teams in certain areas? Do we need to have more safety people? What's that look like? And I'm not saying our schools need on lockdown.
Sure.
But where are we with safety teams? Where are we with safety in the facilities themselves and the locking of doors? What's that look like? If we can have a student come in from a different town completely and get into our school and go sit in a class, I think we have situations that we should make sure are addressed. So
yeah, I don't think you can understate that. And it's every parent, right? You drop your kids off, you want them to be safe, you want staff to be safe, you just want that's just it, right? You just want it to have a good experience and not have to worry about it. Yeah, and I think that's something that we all think about. Unfortunately, right? I mean, it's not something anybody wants to have to think of scenarios where bad things happen. We're going to go to question 8, and we did talk a little bit about budget earlier, but just for the sake of going through questions as we've got them, how would you approach budgeting and financial oversight for the district? Again, we touched on it a little bit, but I'd love to get additional thoughts from you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, budget is key. I think that I think there's a different way with budget. Everybody thinks it has to be this monetary value that I need on my check. I don't think that's always true. I think we have some staff in certain roles that, well, from what I see, are definitely probably minimized. And they're playing large parts in some of our students who are probably needing the most hands-on care that we can offer. So, I mean, I would challenge us a little bit in where we sit across the board on that, and
Sure.
at least go benchmark. And I know the school does every so often and stuff, and I understand that, but I would just challenge us a little bit on some of those areas. I know there's grants out there that you have to get, and if you don't use it, you lose it type situation, right?
Sure.
Maybe reviewing some of those though, and seeing, or there are other ones we should be putting in for that make more sense to move some of our money where it needs to. I think there's some things that really just open the eyes of us, I guess, when it comes to our values and where we're putting money and where the budget's falling into. That's where I will just constantly challenge where we're sitting today, culture-wise, in those areas.
Sure. Okay. We got 2 questions left. Time has flown by with Mr. Miller. What is your stance on, and again, we touched on this a little bit, stance on student mental health and wellness initiatives? And if you wanted to spin the response a little different, because you did allude to some parts of this in a previous response, feel free, sir.
Sure. No, that's fair. I mean, again, I think it's a major area that we need to pay attention to. I think that we may not see it my age of 47, whatever. I just don't. I don't see it all the time. But when you start seeing it day to day, or you start seeing things that these kids are going through and stuff, we have staff there that are able to help them through certain situations. That, first off, some of these is just they're the first hello of the day, right? And they're the last, goodbye for the evening. So there's the extremes to other extremes. Some of them really just need help reading through something and being able to process it read to them. These are time-consuming things. These are things where we have to have people in roles that they are truly needing to adapt student to student. And sometimes, we're having them where they follow them all the way through the school system, which is great. But it's a stress. There's a lot that goes into these roles. So do we have enough staff there? Are we putting too much on some of our staff? I think that's something that needs to really have some attention put into it. And then I think not only that, but I think, again, it's parent and staffs, and what are those touch points, and are they in the right points? Are we making sure that, if we have someone even on IEP or 504 or something along those lines, and that's not saying that you have a mental illness because you're on IEP or 504, right? But we have to start somewhere and start saying, where can we start helping as a school and as a district? And I think that also comes into leaning in the parents and saying, what can we do to assist? And offering. We can't force anybody to come to the table. Sure. But offering the table and saying, we're here, we want to have some conversation. What's it look like for your kids so we can walk through this? Yeah. And how do we help get them? Again, I said it earlier. Yeah. We have to adjust kid by kid.
That's good. All right, our last question for Mr. Miller. How would you evaluate the effectiveness of your service to the board if you were so elected? Again, elections November 4th here in Muscatine.
Yeah. I'll go back to those academic performance indicators. I don't know what those look like at this point. I know we have some metrics out there for the superintendent, and I get it, but I think that we need to take it down deeper. Okay. I think we need to understand at a more school level what those are. I don't get to make that decision what they are, but I definitely think those are things that we need to put in place, are some of those points that we have to understand that I don't care how it comes across in the way of if we're just below average, above average, how that looks, right? But if we're not meeting like the state minimum average, that's not a good place for us to be sitting as a school district. Sure. Hitting average, okay, but being below the minimum average, that's a tough one. So to me, I think we need to have some of those metrics out there to say, here's where we're failing, here's where we need to pick up, right? Failing is tough, but when we know we are failing, we know where to make the change. I think staff retention is another spot because that's going to show that the culture, the drive, everything is working the right way because people are wanting to stay within that culture. They're not wanting to get out of it. Sure. And I think that's important. We have good staff in our schools.
Yes, sir.
And I think we lose some even still too early that could have given another 5-10 years and would. Their reasons are what they are, but I think we just need to figure out what that is to retain it. So I would challenge us there. And then just our graduation rate, as I said, I just want to make sure we're really driving to make productive kids members of society. The thing with that is we have to know what those teaching points are and where they fall into. Let's get them into the work-based programs. Let's get them into the ag. Let's get them into mechanics, whatever it is. MCC, what they're building out there. I mean, we're just going to be able to launch off of that so much. And let's utilize it, and let's utilize our local community companies and let them know what we have at the schools and that we want them to come in and support it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming. And again, I encourage everyone, you've watched all of these. Hopefully, if there's more to come, not sure where we'll be at in the order of when you see these, but the goal is to educate, inform, introduce. If you weren't familiar with Matt Miller, you got a great sense over the last 30 plus minutes of who he is and how he responded to those questions. And then go vote November 4th. It's your right, or vote ahead of time. To Matt's point, you can do that. And we wish everyone all the best. And I said this earlier, I think anyone that is in a position or running for a position, that takes a lot. So thanks for putting yourself out there. It's not an easy thing to do, and I appreciate your time again.
Yeah, thanks, Tony.
Absolutely. All right, friends, this has been another GMCCI Advocacy Podcast, Meet the Candidates. We'll be back with another installment soon. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.